We're here at the Republican National Convention where they're about to choose their next leader. Maybe it'll be me. Hello, devotees. Jules here for D News. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. When you think of a great leader, what qualities come to mind? In America, we tend to think of people who are charismatic or eloquent as strong leaders. Even Donald Trump is called a great leader as someone who isn't afraid to say what he thinks. But what does it take to be a Trump, or maybe more appealingly, a Julius Caesar or a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? Can you become a great leader, or do you have to be born that way? Nature or nurture? Well, like all nature versus nurture topics, it's a little bit of both and nobody really knows. But a study in the journal Twin Research, which is not what it sounds like, or exactly what it sounds like, asked 247 twin pairs to fill out questionnaires about their behavior to determine who among them were leaders. What they found was that more than half the traits that define a leader, originality, popularity, sociability, judgment, aggressiveness, desire to excel, humor, cooperativeness, liveliness, and athletic ability, those were possibly able to be passed down genetically, or heritable. Now, that's a pretty bold claim to make, so we're going to take it with a grain of salt, but it does at least point to some leadership qualities being inborn. But what about the other half of the traits, like persistence or confidence? Well, another study, yes, there's always another study, found leaders can inspire others to be confident, and thus imbue their subordinates with confidence and creativity. So, leaders can potentially teach leadership qualities to their followers. Yet another recent study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that a good leader's brain actually synchronizes with their followers' brains as they communicate. The experiment took a few small groups of people and scanned the blood flow in their brain when they started talking to each other. Mid-conversation, leaders emerged in each group, and their left temporoparietal junctions, which is where brainwaves are converted into speech, synced up with their followers, whereas the followers weren't as synced with each other. Using this phenomenon, researchers could predict the same effect in future leader-follower pairs just by looking at the brain. It's not that leaders communicate more, but the quality of their communication is higher. As the researchers said, leaders emerge because they're able to say the right things at the right time. But there's one big caveat. When we talk about these qualities, we're talking about studies that are almost exclusively based on Americans. Yeah. In fact, a 1997 review of studies on leadership found that 98% of them were just American-focused. The studies chose to emphasize American traits like leaders are superior and followers are subordinate, or that individualism is prized and collectivism is shunned. Sheeple versus lion. But the fact is, that's not universally true in all cultures. The Essentials of Psychology states that the best leaders simply understand the dynamic between leaders and group members, whatever they may be, collective or individual, hands-on or hands-off, authoritarian or egalitarian. This is supported by the 1995 book Emotional Intelligence, which refers to the idea that true leaders have the capacity to be aware of, control, and express their emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Being able to judge interactions with others and handle those complex interpersonal relationships well will make a pretty good leader into a great leader. Leadership is seemingly a more nuanced but internal process, and while it isn't culture specific, the differences all stem from social differences, not interactions themselves. Basically, if you're a great leader, then it's because you get people, and also it's because you've synced their brain with theirs, which is a little creepy to be honest. Stay out of my brain. So, who makes a better leader, men or women? You can find out by watching this video.
Less than half of countries worldwide have had a female leader in the last 50 years. A study from the Journal of Applied Psychology looked at 95 different studies and found that people genuinely believe that both men and women would be equally good at leadership. Equally good!
And what do you think makes a good leader? What do you look for? Let us know in the comments, and please subscribe so you can catch more D News when we're at the DNC next week. Thanks for tuning in.